And so I beat him and won the championship.
I was going to take that a little bit further because I think it's an interesting thing to have a pastor who's a professional boxer. And he actually has some incredible stories about church folks that would come and challenge him. Somebody would have a problem with him, come on, let's take it out back. And my dad would say,
Bob Savosky, that's his name.
You don't want to mess with me. I want to mess with you. Let's take it outside. You don't want to mess with me.
Well,
I want to ask you some other questions because of time, but that's another story. A couple of the other things I wanted to ask you. And by the way, when you're the kid of a dad who's a boxer, and also, how many degrees black belt in judo? Second degree black belt?
No, I'm only first.
First degree black belt in judo, later. When you're his son, you're the one he uses to teach everybody and demonstrate. So you get your teeth chipped. The boxing wasn't too bad, because that way, well, he started teaching judo, and so I was the one flying through the air. Judo is throws and things like that. Come here, Johnny, let me show the kids how to do this.
Yeah, but he was a good wrestler in high school.
Let's move forward a little bit.
Okay.
You've always had a heart for Europe and Europeans. Mm-hmm. And years ago, if you remember what we call the Iron Curtain was up. You really had a heart for taking Bibles and medicine. And you just touched on briefly the other day about actually being in jail one time. And I wonder if you could just briefly tell us a little bit about what it was like to be in a communist country, busted for smuggling.
Well, this happened in a place called Dresden, Germany. That was the eastern part, which was the communist part. And at that time, I was working with a guy by the name of Jeff Thompson, his organization, which was Richard Wurbrand. Richard Wurbrand started Christian missions to the communist world. And he was put in prison for 14.5 years and suffered every torture you can think of. I mean, really vicious and vile. And so I got caught. And they put me in prison.
You were taking Bibles?
I was taking Bibles, yeah, smuggling Bibles.
In German language?
Uh-huh. And so anyway, they brought me in, and this lady said to me, Herr Bolt, and I said, Jawohl, kann ich in mein Büro, bitte schön? Please come to my office. I said, was ist los? What's wrong? Oh. And so she said, well, was machst du hier, bitte schön? What is your purpose here? Oh, I said, I've come to visit your lovely country and beautiful people. Ich glaube nicht. I don't believe you. I said, stimmt das? For sure. Nein, ich glaube nicht. And so this was, I think, I'm trying to get my dates here. I'm kind of lost. I'm getting old, but I think it was in 1980 of January. And she says, Herr Bolt, ja, komm herein, bitte schön. So she took me down this long hallway, and we stopped, and she opened the jail door and told me to go in. And as I walked in, I saw a very thin mattress, black and gray, and so she locked the door behind me, and I laid on that bed, and over the cell there was 4 bars to the window. It was slightly snowing in at that time, and I think it was running around 35 degrees below zero at that time outside. And there was no heat in the prison where the prisoners stayed, only where the chow hall was and where the offices were. They had heat, we did not. And I'm trying to remember, but I think some of the fellow folks I spoke to in my church about going had talked to me before that and said, Brother Bolt, you better consider this and pray about it really before you make a move like that. You got a son and 3 daughters and a wife. And if they catch you, you may go to prison. And you may never see them again. Because this place I was in was a jumping platform for the gulags up in Ukraine in Russia. And so, I'll tell you what. And this is where the devil begins to play mental gymnastics with you. I laid on that bed, and the devil began to say to me, well, where's your Jesus now, Brother Bolt? is this Jesus you're talking about that you're serving? Is this the kind of God you're serving that will allow you to be put in this jail? And you know what? I laid on that bed and tears started to come down my face, from my eyes. Because I thought I'd never see my children, my wife again. Because I could understand the German language and I knew what they were saying about the transfers. Well, about 4 o'clock, no, about 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, they start something that's not so nice. They took me down this long hallway, and I looked into this room, and there was a chair in the middle of the room with a light over it. This is not Sunday school picnic time. It's called interrogation. And if you're not too cooperative when they're questioning you, they brought out a big, solid, long piece of rubber. It's solid, hard. You get hit with that thing, your knee bone will go to your ankle bone and to your toe bone. And they had some other things that they do, but one of them was they would put you in a chair, between 2 chairs. They would tie your knees together and then put your feet under the rungs of the other chair so you couldn't jerk your knees up and take your shoes and socks off and beat you with wet, hard bamboo until your feet would bleed. And they did some other things there that I will not discuss in this audience due to a mixed audience.
Long story short, you got out.
Yeah, they called me in. She called me out. She said, "Well," I said, "Jawohl, we're not going to let you go. But if you come back here, you're going to the gulags in the Ukraine." And she says, "You have 45 minutes. No, she said, "You have 2,5 Stunden. You have 2.5 hours to leave the east and go to the west." I was on the train in 45 minutes, going back to Berlin. And then I went on to Romania. And when I got into Romania, guess what? The revolution had broken out. When Ceausescu, who was in power, a real nutcase, he used to bring children down to where he would have the parents of these children on these big concrete blocks tied down, and then pour muriatic and sulfuric and nitric acid over these bodies, and these parents would scream their way to their death in front of the children. He was a nutcase.
I'm going to finish up. I wish we had more time,
Okay.
because you have such a great testimony. I have a song that I want to dedicate to you.
You do?
I do. And you also spent a lot of time in Central America.
Yes, I did. Colombiano.
Taking medicine and things like that. So you've traveled extensively to take Bibles, and to take medicine and food and clothing, and to take the Word of God into different parts of the world. And I'm going to help you off the stage and ask the band to come back, and I have a song that's just for you, okay?
Thank you, son. Appreciate that.
All right.
Okay.
This one's for you.